I'm still on the ground, on the ground. I'll soon be fluttering if I can find my wings, find my wings. Impatiently I want to fly today, but I hear a gentle voice inside me say,
Yep, slow and steady.
That's slow and steady.
That's how we
steps
establish
will be
routines.
my pace.
One
Slow
habit at a time.
and steady
If I can do
steps
it,
will win
anybody
this
can.
race. It will take some time, but the victory will be mine. Slow and steady, I'm gonna learn to fly. I'm starting to believe I only race with me, only me. I can't give to someone else this journey for myself.
It's our journey.
It's for myself.
We can do this.
Since my best is all I have, it is enough. I can see a ray of hope. I've got to trust that slow and steady steps will be my pace. Slow and steady steps will win this race. It will take some time, but the victory will be mine. Slow and steady, I'm gonna learn to fly.
Okay, she gets real high right there and it hurts my ears. Anyway, folks, the snow is melting on the rhododendrons. It's dropping right off. The rocks are getting uncovered, so it's going to freeze back overnight. So it's going to be really slick. I've got chili in the crock pot, and I made it with double meat and half the beans. So Robert will like this. It's kind of an all-meat chili. And it may not quite be on my diet, but I know how to take care of my portions, get my fat in there, get my salad in there, and it'll all be good. All be good. Anyway, folks, get on in here. I promised you a story about how Robert and I met. And it was quite a funny situation. You know, I've told you about the coffee shop where I met this lady who had red chair friends. There were 2 wingback chairs in this coffee shop, and the coffee shop was owned by a fly fishing student of mine. Yeah, I used to teach fly fishing, and Mary DeHaan was the owner of the coffee shop. It was a cute little hole in the wall. It was probably 12 feet wide and 40 feet long. There was room enough for a counter and a couple of chairs on this wall and a little bar in the window, and I would go in there, and it was in August of 1996, and I'd go in and I would get a cup of coffee. I liked pudding coffee at the time, but I would make me a cup of coffee. Nothing special. I didn't do lattes or anything like that. I just wanted plain coffee with cream and sugar in it. And so I was in there, and I was talking to a friend of mine who's passed away now, but Nilsa was there, and she and I were sitting not in the red chairs. Well, it might have been the red chairs, but they were in a different place. They were sort of right in front of the checkout, and we were sitting there, standing there, and this man came in, and he knew Nilsa, and he handed Nilsa a sort of an apricot card that was a little bit longer than this, and it was a campaign flyer. He was getting ready to run for office in November of '96, and it was he wanted Nilsa to read it and see if she liked the copy on it, if she see if she liked the text. And she read it, and she didn't see anything wrong with it, and she handed it to me to read. And I read it, and I looked at him, and I said, "Are you going to put up campaign signs?" And he said, "No, I don't believe in them." So I put my hand out, and I shook his hand. That's what that's what women do in the South. Men never reach to shake a woman's hand. A woman has to extend her hand first. That's the rule. Not with COVID, but that's still the rule. And he said, "I don't believe campaign posters in people's yards and along the road do any good. I think you need to ask somebody in the court system if they think I'm a good judge and take their recommendation." And I put my hand out and I said, "I'll vote for you then." Because I had been really angry that somebody had put campaign signs all along the road up to my house for this one person running for county commissioner. I'll never forget it. And I hated them. I just hated them. They were visual clutter to me when I had this beautiful drive up to my house, and it was just visual clutter. And Robert introduced himself to me, and he said, "I'm Robert Silly." And I said, "I know your wife." And he said, "My ex-wife." And I said, "Oh, well, I had house sat for her the week before. The music center had just gotten out, and we had both worked at the music center together. She worked in the back of the auditorium, and I ran the box office in the front of the auditorium." And I said, "I just house sat for Sue last week." And he said, "Well, how is Snap?" That Snap was their three-legged dog, and he missed Snap. He loves critters. And I said, "Well, Snap is kind of a squirrely dog." And he said, "Yeah, he is. He really is. But I still miss him." And I said, "Well, Snap was doing okay. I kept him fed." And he said, I tried to remember how he put it, but he said, "I'm in the phone book. Call me sometime." And I said, "Okay." So I thought about it a little bit. This was like on a Wednesday. So the next day, who am I to some man tell you to call him, and seems like a nice man. Oh, there's the dog romping in the snow. They're going to get the mail. The next day I called him and I said, "Do you want to meet me at Silvermont?" And we have this wonderful antique, well, it's 1800s this house was built, and it was donated to the county. And every Thursday evening they would have picking and grinning. People would bring their instruments, and everybody would sit around and play bluegrass music, and there'd be some clogging. And he said, "Well, I can't on Thursday night because I've been playing chess with the same guy for 20 years, and I've only missed 5 times in that whole 20 years. Now, it's been close to 45, 50 years now that Robert's been playing chess. Probably 45. And he said, "I can't do it on Thursday night," but he calls this his bridge bid. He said, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" And I said, "Well, I'm not doing anything." He said, "Well, why don't you meet me at the coffee shop, and we'll figure out something to do for dinner." So I said, okay. So I met him at the coffee shop, and we walked down the street to a little bistro, which is a real estate office now, on the corner. And we had the awfulest soup I've ever tasted. It was spinach and lentil soup. Now, normally I like spinach in a lot of things, but I've never been a fan of lentils. And we tried to make this have some taste, and we had to put so much hot sauce in it, it wasn't worth eating. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And then we went down back to the coffee shop, and we played Scrabble with a couple other people. You do not play Scrabble with Robert Silly. Robert Silly is a crossword puzzle aficionado. He only works like the Saturday and Sunday New York Times crossword puzzles. And he can do everything. And I was standing behind the door when God handed out the spelling gene. The only thing I knew how to spell that night was trees, because I had been taking a college course where you had to spell I had taken a forestry class on, and you had to spell the trees correctly. So I learned how to spell the trees. It was force fed to me because I can't spell. I know Kate never could do anything, but it's hereditary in our family. Patty can't spell either. So we played Scrabble, and I'm spelling maple and sycamore, and I'm spelling some nice words because they're trees. And he said, "Do you know a lot about trees?" And I said, "Well, I ran a sawmill, and I can pick out trees by their bark. I know the leaves. I just took a forestry class, so trees are near and dear to me. Trees keep us in toilet paper." I didn't say that to him, but that's another story at another time about the toilet paper and trees. And he said, "There's a tree in town I can't identify." And I said, "Okay." He said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, tomorrow I have to go on a hike in the morning. I'm doing a mushroom hike." And it's middle of fall, August, like the 24th or 5th of August. And it's getting to be nice weather. It's always nice weather here, though. For anybody thinking about moving here, it is a beautiful place. We don't get a whole lot of snow, and it doesn't last long, and we have a beautiful place to live. So he said, "When you get back into town, call me. I'll meet you," because I had paid for dinner. "And I'll buy you lunch, and we'll go look at this tree." Well, guess what? I couldn't identify the tree. I'd never seen a tree like it. And so we took a limb from the tree, and we went to the library at the college to try to identify that tree. And then we couldn't. We couldn't identify it. And then we had a brand new arboretum. And so we drove over to the arboretum and left the branch with them, and they identified it as a European elder of some kind. Somebody brought a seed back from World War II and planted it, I guess. But it was just our first little get together, our first date, which was Friday night, which wasn't a date. It was just a couple of people getting together for dinner and Scrabble. And then we went on this scavenger hunt, and I cooked dinner for him that night. And the next day we went on a hike, and I knew after 3 days of being with him that I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. I knew it. And I told my sister Patty that I was going to marry Robert Silly. And she said, "You are going to jinx it." I told my friend Mary DeHaan that, because she'd been telling me all summer that Robert needed somebody to go to dinner with and go to the movies, and she thought we'd be a cute couple. Well, sure enough, for our wedding, Mary bought our wedding cake for us. It was chocolate and raspberry with a raspberry filling. She was one of our witnesses at our wedding. We only had 14 people at the wedding, including us. Patty and Jessica were there. Nilsa was there. We didn't have many people at all, and we stood in a circle. We had a little party, and then in the middle of the party, Robert says, "Well, let's do it," and we got married in our house in front of our fireplace. And the pastor was a Methodist preacher who was also a probation officer who literally tied a knot around our hands. So it was fun. It was fun. We had a fun wedding, and we didn't make a big deal out of it. We could have, I got married in dark green, and right now I'm wearing black that's polka dotted with tomato sauce, because my tomato sauce can, when I was trying to get the lid off, it went and blew up all over me and on the floor. But you know what I do? I clean up my messes as they happen. So, folks, it's never a dull moment around here. Robert's fixed our refrigerator, and now he's had to turn it off and turn it back on again. He had to do something to the wiring, but he got it fixed, and he was happy because it's the ice crusher that quit working. So he is capable. I'm telling you, that was his best compliment for me, was that I was capable. And he's kind of handy to have around. Well, y'all, January, I think it's the 23rd. Well, I don't know what that question is. I don't know what that is for. Anyway, we got married in November. November the 30th. Yeah, we got married the last day of November. So he spoils me rotten every day. He says that's his job. So I get coffee, and at night sometimes I get some lime fizzy water. We have a good time, and we've been locked in the house. He goes to the store for us. He goes pick up takeout, and I don't have to go out. So I am blessed to have someone to run errands for me. How many years now? 24 years we've been married. 24 years. And it's a marriage made in heaven. I knew when God sent me to North Carolina, he sent me here for a reason. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have a clue why I came here, because I'd never been too far from home anyway. And I said, "Okay, God," I threw my hands up there. "I'm going to stick around until I figure out what it is you brought me here for." These came from Lens Crafters, and they're very old. They're 12 years. Well, I got them in 2012, and I need new ones, but I'm not going to go to the eye doctor right now. My sister Susan just was at the eye doctor. She's got a little more courage than I do. I'm not going to the eye doctor right now. If I don't have to go out into the public, I'm not going to. I'm not going to run the risk of going and catching COVID. And people are dropping like flies with the COVID. Anyway, y'all drink your tea. I'm going to get this video up. Y'all have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow morning. It's Saturday. That means you got to make some memories. Family fun day. I shall see you later. Bye.